tremendous looking trophy.
Hello and welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about the constant changes to the state of play.
Constant changes?
Well, they constantly having to update us about what the state of play is. 2 in 2 weeks, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we will be talking about, surely, last week's state of play. There's the state of play coming up this week about Hogwarts Legacy. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, yeah, it's not great timing. If there is ever great timing.
I mean, it probably would have been better timing a couple weeks ago than this week, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because J.K. Rowling's been on she fired back up, you know?
Yeah.
So, worst timing.
It's a weird one because the rumors are it's not coming out till next year, right? So why are they doing...
No, I thought the rumors was it's coming out like July or something, like mid this year.
I think we've had both rumors probably.
It's probably true. Yeah, I saw that. And that was one time where I was like, unlike usually when they announce the state of play, like last week when they announced it, I was like, damn. Straight after I talked about rumors of a state of play last week, they announced the state of play. That sucks. Whereas I wake up this morning and I see state of play for Hogwarts Legacy and I go, cool. So that doesn't matter because I don't care to talk about that. So, I don't give a fuck.
What I find interesting is it says the stream will last 20 minutes and they'll bring 14 minutes of gameplay. So I'm hoping the other 6 minutes is people apologizing for J.K. Rowling.
No.
It's like, what? She had nothing to do with the game. Look, these are all the donations we're making to trans charities. It's like, you know, any way to try and save face, I guess, for the developers who have been working on this game for several years. It's like a very awkward situation.
They're what's the saying? You know, they're on a
between a rock and a hard place.
Well, swimming up lake without a paddle. You know what I mean? Like they're
stuck up Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, they're up Schitt's Creek. To be completely honest,
and not the good Schitt's Creek.
No, I feel like I've seen, and of course this is just my Twitter, the way my Twitter talks, people that show up on my Twitter timeline. But I've actually seen more people come aboard. I've seen more people tweet and be like, "Look, originally I was like, I should support the game. But as time's gone on, I've decided, no, fuck the game." So I've seen like more people switch sides and go the opposite way of like, you know what? Actually, I can get aboard this game. So, yeah, I don't know. I
think they just need to hurry up and put it out so they can move on.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
They should just shadow drop it, get it done, get it over with.
Imagine if that's what the announcement is. It's coming out today.
It's just out. Yeah.
It's out. If you want to play it, play it. If you don't, we understand.
Yeah. Doesn't cost money.
It's like, let's just put all the Harry Potter stuff in 1 week. You know, drop it. We're releasing it the same week as the new
Fantastic Beasts
movie comes
something
out.
Else that everyone doesn't care about anymore and's lost all potential steam that it had when the first film dropped.
Yep.
So, good stuff. Harry Potter. Really liked that growing up.
Yep.
Rip. All right, so we're talking about state of play in a little bit. Let's kick off some with the games. So first and foremost, Horizon Forbidden West. This is the last time we'll be talking about it on here unless DLC is released. But yeah, I think this is week 4 technically. I think we've talked about it 4 episodes in a row. So, but we're
probably.
Both, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Because there was like the first week, and then there was week 2, and then last week, and then this week. So,
yep.
Yeah, we both finished it now. We recorded a spoiler cast that's up on the Arcade Couch podcast feed that was posted a couple days ago by the time you're listening to this. So head on over to Arcade Couch or explosionnetwork.com to find that if you want to check out our spoiler cast. But obviously I got my review up, posted last week, explosionnetwork.com, gave it a 7. I think that's in line with everything that I complain about. It's in line with sort of the things that I've been talking about here as I've gone week by week. My overall thoughts in short, since, you know, I've been over them a fair bit, is that I feel like the story isn't actually as strong as the first one for certain reasons, even though the world still is interesting. The combat is more of the same, which is the good part of the first game, and there's just some just general things I couldn't completely vibe with. But overall, it's a good game. It's not a great game in my opinion. It's a good game. Very pretty, obviously, gorgeous open world, but not gonna be on my game of the year shortlist. But Ash likes it a lot more. So, what are your non-spoiler thoughts?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it has a great story. Lots of enjoyable characters, interesting world, cool side missions. Combat's fun. It's like there are certain things that I didn't like the underwater stuff is very pretty but kind of forgettable. And there's some other things that we talked about in the spoilercast that are kind of spoilery, like character motivations and that kind of stuff. But overall, I quite enjoyed it. I had a good time. Found it quite satisfying, the conclusion. And I'm looking forward to the next game, which they definitely are setting up. Which they definitely set up in the last 10-15 minutes of this game.
Very hardcore setup.
So for me, it's definitely right up there with Game of the Year. So in the middle of March. So
I mean, you're saying that, then you've got all the people who are Elden Ring Game of the Year. It's like apparently Game of the Year's already done. It's settled.
The rest just 2 games.
Yeah, love months of the year don't matter.
It's those, and I feel like there was another game that was
everyone was loving. I can't remember.
Yeah,
was it? I don't know. Years of
Pokemon Arceus, I guess maybe.
Yeah, he's a bit of a
blur. That would be the other one.
Yeah. And another thing I finished up in the past week and put up a review for as well was Gran Turismo 7. I think I gave it an 8. Good memory? Yeah. So obviously last time, I can't remember how much. Last time I talked about it, I'd only played like maybe 5-6 hours, I think. I ended up putting up, I think, nearly 20 hours or something like that by the time I'd wrapped up the quote-unquote campaign, which was good to sort of have a point that I could feel like I've a way for the game to shuffle me through the majority of the tracks and make sure I tried out the different cars and stuff like that, so I could get a full feel for the game. And the most important thing that I wanted to see was I really wanted to reach that end game because I wanted to see if there was a way, post beating the cafe, which are these missions that they give you, of course, talked about last week, that if you could get more credits easier, and that you cannot. So that was sort of like a center point in one of my complaints for the game, is that it does drive you towards spending microtransactions, which I do think is a pretty big negative on the game, especially once you've beat the cafe mode. And at that point, you're sort of just in I need lots of credits to buy the cars I want, to upgrade the cars I want, and they don't make it particularly easy. Otherwise, it's a really good racing game. It looks stunning. I think the one thing I didn't talk about, maybe I did, I can't remember, but just to go over again quickly, I think the performance mode and the ray tracing and the way they do it is good, but I think I mentioned in my review, I wish there was a third option. So at the moment, you've got if you click you want ray tracing, it'll only show you ray tracing in replays or car showrooms or stuff when you're looking, everything but where you're actually controlling the game. It has ray tracing enabled and you're running the game at 30 frames per second. And all the cars are very shiny surfaces, obviously, so ray tracing looks very good in the game. And then when you're actually racing, it's 60 frames ray tracing off. If you choose the non-ray tracing mode, it just means that it turns ray tracing off and you just get 60 frames per second in the replays and stuff like that. I feel like the game would benefit for people who want it. I personally don't, but I know some people talked about how they really liked it in Uncharted recently, where it had the 1080p mode with a high frame rate, or even the 1080p mode with ray tracing enabled in actual racing would be really cool. But I've been even after wrapping it up, and I've still got it installed. I didn't delete it because I'd like to jump back in every now and then, especially if they add new tracks, or it's not a games as a service game, but they'll definitely update and add things as time continues, which is good to sort of keep on the console. And it's not the sort of game where you forget how to play it. It's a racing game, you accelerate, you brake, it's fine. So I'm going to keep it around. But the other thing is I've been watching a lot of, I got into bed several nights when I was playing it a lot. I was just getting into bed and watching people's YouTube videos. I watched one the other night that was really interesting. Some dude just chose the longest track in the game. It takes you like 10, 15 minutes to do a lap, I think, even with some of the fastest cars. And he was just doing like a custom race where he put it on 5 laps or 3 laps or something, and you just set the custom weather, because this Gran Turismo 7 has such cool weather settings, so he was having it like gradually go from sunny at the start of the race or nighttime or something like that, and then it comes up to daytime by the time you reach the last race, and then you've got torrential rain come in, and then like you seeing and showcasing the rain radar in the game and seeing how it slowly creeps in and over this very long several laps of this race, which takes a very long time to beat, how the rain was coming in, and he purposely put on the wrong tires, and so did all the AI because they copied him, and as soon as the rain kicked in, all the AI just like were constantly slipping out on the track because they couldn't even control themselves. There's some like interesting like AI and weather things and cool things in this game for sure. So yeah, I think it's a return to form for Gran Turismo, especially because I complained so much about I didn't really like sport much, and the one before that wasn't 6. I think there was another one before that. Was it 6?
Oh, no, there was some weird prologue
thing. Yeah, I've dove into all of them. I feel like, or at least the last couple for like an hour or two, just being like, nah. Whereas this one I stuck to, and it did come down to just the direction, the load times, and I know I sort of joke about the load times, but it's such a big turn off for me having to wait that long to get into a race. It is just ridiculous. So, and yeah,
no, 6 was before sport.
There you go. Okay, and they would have had the prologue before that. So,
probably yeah.
Yeah, but as someone who like I really got into, particularly 2 and 3, which was the high of the franchise, and I think since then they've never hit that same level. I think this is back to the microtransaction BS aside for credits. I think this is the best one since 2 or 3, in my opinion. All right, let's talk about last week's State of Play. So PlayStation randomly announced it. They're like, we're going to have a focus on third party, or however they worded it, our partners in Japan, or something like that, however they worded it. And that was primarily, I guess, what was showcased. There was some stuff in here from different parts of the world, though. So a few surprises and whatnot. But again, I would say I thought this was a solid State of Play with some cool, DLC things being announced for games in here, like Returnal, and cool trailers for games like Forspoken, which we'll get to, and stuff like that. I see lots of people complaining that this was a waste of time. This should have just been a press release, all that sort of stuff. I'm always going to side with the not every State of Play needs to have a God of War, epic moment at the end of it, especially when they're saying that it's when they set it up. And most of the time, that's the thing. Like, people get really angry when they've set them up preemptively. They set this up and said, this is going to focus on stuff coming out of Japan. And what does the show end with? It ends with a bunch of Square Enix stuff. Games that maybe you don't care about, but, that was the setup. It's like stuff coming out of Japan. Maybe you could have expected Final Fantasy, sure. But, it's not like you should have expected God of War at the end of this. If that was the setup going in, So yeah, what was your overall thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. It's like there was a lot of interesting games. Like, I feel like there was at least something that everybody could kind of be into, even if it was just to like get Trek to Yomi like in front of more people again. Like, get more people excited about that game. I think if that's the only takeaway from the State of Play, it's a success, because that game looks amazing and I'm looking forward to it. And we haven't seen it since the Devolver Showcase, which we don't know how many people actually watch the Devolver Showcases.
It's funny you say that, because I saw a bunch of people tweeting and being like, wow, this new game announced, Trek to Yomi, like a bunch of people, wordings of that, people talking about it as if it was the first time it was being shown. And of course, I'm not going to be like, oh, you fucking fake fans. But that is like, I think that's proof in the pudding that this, exactly what you're saying, that this is necessary, because these people are like, man, this game looks so cool. Like, oh, I'm so glad it was announced in the State of Play. I'm like, it wasn't announced in the State of Play, but you are proving why this showing games like this in the thing is necessary.
This is why these things happen. Yeah. As much as we want to make things about like it could have been a press release, or it could have been a PlayStation blog.
But not everyone would have seen the press release. Not everyone would check the PlayStation blog.
No one would go check out the PlayStation blog.
No.
Like, you put one tweet out and it's like, yeah, that's announced. It's like, everybody's going to see it. No.
Yeah.
As much as, yeah. Yeah, it was cool to see a little bit more for Forspoken, and I'm sure we'll go into all the different games, but yeah. And then, there's some cool stuff there's some interesting stuff by Square Enix there at the end. Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's probably one of the better ones, like, weirdly, which probably says more about the standard of the state of players we've gotten.
Yeah.
Over the distance.
I wouldn't say it's a great state of play. I'd say it was a good state of play. Like, if I was rating, sort of.
Yeah.
It was good. It
did the job of, like, highlighting a bunch of games and, like, announcing a bunch of, like...
Yeah. Because ultimately, there was some stuff in here, like, that the first thing we'll get to in a moment, I'm like, meh, don't know about that. But then there was a bunch of other stuff where, like, there were trailers for games I was very like, yeah, I'm, like, probably intrigued by that, but not hyped. And then I think, like, for Forspoken and Ghostwire Tokyo probably had their best trailers showcased in this. So if that's, like, a turning point for me, then it must be for other people where I'm like, man, this trailer actually has me hyped for these games now. Like, before I was, like, intrigued. Now I'm like, oh, this sick trailer. So if that's doing the same for other people, then it's doing its job of why do these trailers need to be in these showcases? And it's to get people interested, I guess, still. Yeah. All right, let's run through. So Exo Primal was the first thing shown off. It's a dinosaur game where they're dropping out of black holes in the sky. And it's like, it was revealed after the fact, it's like a PvE thing.
It looks like these people are dealing with some sort of dino crisis.
Yep. Well, the interesting thing is people have, since the trailer dropped, and of course this isn't named Dino Crisis or anything, but people are like, and I don't know fuck all about Dino Crisis. I think I've played it as like a friend's play, so I've never actually, so I have no affinity to that franchise, but the people...
It's not like one of those arcade shoot-em-up games?
I mean, maybe there was, I don't know. That's Time Crisis. People point out like the girl in here with the pink hair, I think she has, or purple hair. I don't know. Maybe it's different color. Anyway, neon colored hair. She looks like a character from Dino Crisis. People are saying that the producer of Dino Crisis is working on this game. A bunch of other people. So people are like, pink hair. I just saw it there in the trailer. Pink hair. People are saying that this could be a secret Dino Crisis tied in thing, which honestly, if that's true, I think it's really dumb. Like, that franchise doesn't have, at least as far as I'm aware, enough pull to do a secret sequel universe tie-in thing where it's not actually told. Like, if you're making a Dino Crisis game, just call it Dino Crisis and make everyone happy. Like, don't,
I don't know. Like, the hype of, like, once it's kind of revealed that it is a secret tie-in, I think people are like, oh, cool, it's a secret tie-in to...
I guess.
More likely it's just a spiritual successor.
Yeah, something like that.
Or something in the vein, but yeah. It's weird, all these Dino Crisis-like games that we've been getting recently.
Yeah. So many Dino Crisis-like games.
Second Extinction or whatever?
Yeah.
That other one that we played that bunch of times? Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it could be fun, I guess.
Getting ready for that Jurassic World pit.
Yeah, maybe.
Dinosaurs big again.
Next we got a trailer for Ghostwire Tokyo. Again, like I was saying before, I think this is probably the best Ghostwire Tokyo trailer that was seen. I think it was like the most action heavy while also selling the freaky vibe and the story and everything like that. But also my biggest takeaway was, and I think you tweeted something similar because I had the exact same thoughts, or where I was like watching this after playing that stupid demo, the prequel thing, which we talked about last week. And I was like, oh, so I guess you play as like, this is the dude you play as in the game. And then I'm watching this, and I'm sure if I'd gone and watched one of the old trailers, like after playing that prologue, I would have came to the same conclusion. But it was just simply watching this after playing that where I'm like, wait, that dude, it's not who you play as. He's in this motherfucker's head.
So it seems... I haven't read much of the previews that have obviously been released in the days since. But it seems like, obviously, in the prologue, you're playing as KK, this detective dude.
Yeah.
I guess he dies?
He must die.
And then he inhabits some random dude's body?
That's what seems like what's happening, yeah. Which is so funny to me.
Which is, I mean, this is an interesting idea for a story, I guess.
Because I was like, what? I was like...
Very anime.
I was watching that damn... we're playing that damn prologue. I'm like, okay, so this is the character you play as. These are the people you'll be doing missions for. This is a detective agency. Blah, 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 blah. And then watching this trailer afterwards, like a couple of days after, basically, it's like, I'm like, wait, no, like... everything I knew was wrong. Everything I thought was wrong. But yeah, I definitely thought this was a really cool trailer. I know that you don't care for this because you reckon it's going to be too scary, but did you think this was like a good trailer for Ghostwire?
Yeah, I think it's a good trailer. I think it's like, it's finally, it's been the kind of ugly stepsister of Deathloop for those two final Bethesda exclusives. And it hasn't been, it definitely has not had as heavy marketing as Deathloop, where we pretty much knew what that game was going to be like as soon as it came out. Yeah. This game we've had very little about the last 6 months. So yeah, this one gives you a better idea of what the game potentially could be. But even then, like hearing some of what's in the previews, it's like we still have barely scratched the surface of them explaining what this game is.
Skimming some previews to just like for the highlight, just to see the general consensus, like headlines and stuff like that, it seems to be positive. So, which is good. Yeah. It means
but it also seems to be more. The game that I constantly have seen brought up is like Far Cry, which is weird, but like that open world kind of thing with like fetch quests and
I think it's
small side quests.
I think it's just a typical open world game with like magic powers and supernatural creatures.
Yeah, instead of guns. Yeah.
Which honestly, if you were like Dylan, you can play another Far Cry like game where you're shooting people with guns, or you can do like fucking magic spells or something.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally not going to get excited about another Ubisoft like open world in particular, but I feel like at least having a different sort of gameplay structure would push me over there to be like, you know what, I'll give that a go. Like compared to just here's Far Cry 18 million. Like, what are you doing? Towers, shooting people still. Cool, I guess.
Shooting minorities, yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. That's totally fine. Let's keep at it. I mean, like, I was thinking the other day, weirdly, I was like, I really want to play. I was thinking it's because that new Assassin's Creed DLC came out. I watched the trailer for it. I was like, man, I would love to have time to actually go back and finish that. But it's weird because sometimes I complain. I'm like, man, these open world games, these Ubisoft checkbox ones, like it's just like they get too much at times. But then other times you're like, it's just like a comfort food, like a junk food.
Yeah, I would like to just knock some stuff off of
that. Yeah, I'm like, I just want to go in. And I mean, I didn't because I don't have time, but I had other shit to do. But there was like a thought that crossed my mind. I'm like, I'd love to just go around finish up some things in that game. So, I mean, they have their place, I guess. But again, that's sort of what I feel like playing Horizon. To a degree, it's like it's similar sort of structure.
But I feel like, obviously, there's been discussion about how much people still love open world games, and we obviously had a couple of great ones recently. I feel like there is definitely an audience that is like, I want the most bang for my buck. It's like, I want as big a world as possible that I can devote the most possible amount of hours to. So,
and I get it to a degree. If I was like a kid, I would want the.
If you weren't doing this and didn't want to play every single game possible, those would probably be the sort of games you'd be drawn to.
Possibly, yeah. Or at
especially if you didn't have much money spending.
Yeah, if you didn't have much money, I can get it. But like, there's still a part of me that's like, it's like saying every movie needs to be 4 hours to get the most bang for your buck. It's like, to a degree, yeah, it's a big open world if you haven't got much money and you want something. But then I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of like where you just get into multiplayer games and always have something to play, Like, rather a good 10, 12-hour single-player game and then just dive back into Apex for another couple weeks or another month than an 80-hour game that you don't bother finish because you burn yourself out and you're like, I don't even care about the story. So, I don't know. It's hard. Next thing they had was a Stranger of Paradise trailer to announce that a demo had dropped on the PlayStation Store following the state of play. Since then, reviews have dropped for Stranger of Paradise because the game is out this Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days. I can't remember which.
Friday, yeah.
Friday. I read James Wood's review from over at PowerUp because I was like, if anyone's going to like this weird shit, then it's probably going to be him. And his review was very good. I'd suggest people go read it. He liked it very much. I think he gave it like an 8 or something. Budget over scores is quite good. I've seen like 8.5s, 8s, 7.5, 7s. Of course, there's been a bunch of stuff a lot
setting
lower.
It as 75 on Open Critics. So
yeah, a lot of people loving it. Some people thinking it's meh, and then there's some people like this is trash. So it's sort of all over the place.
I think I saw, what was it? NME gave it a 1 out of 5.
Yeah. So
Games Radar Plus gave it a 2.5 out of 5. So yeah,
sort of all over the place, but the from that one review I read from James plus like the headlines of other places, it's like if you played the demo and you were like, man, this main character, I feel like I would like it because I was like, this is so stupid, but I was laughing with it. You know, it's like that. So
yeah,
there was that part, and I think I shared it on Twitter, that clip where, and I hope it's still in the game, where after you defeat the first boss, and he's just like the main character just like grunts and he puts on like music and then like cut scene to him walking outside and the music just stops and he takes the headphones off or whatever and he turns around. I was like, I know, it's just like, it's just ridiculous, but it also makes it sound like
definitely seems like it's got B-movie quality.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
Yeah. But it's almost, I almost feel like they surely are in on the joke. Like it's so bad.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, I don't know, but as far as like the Souls comparisons, I think that's sort of calmed down from the most point because I'm still seeing people making it, but like the combat is third person action. However, the major Souls things aren't here. Like you're not losing, you don't lose your experience if you die. You always have that. You just lower the max amount. They had it in that last demo. I can't remember how it works. It's like the more enemies you kill, the larger your mana pool gets, sort of thing. So, like for that run, if that makes sense, I think that's how it works. But then if you die, I think you can come back and collect that. But you don't lose your XP. There's checkpoints. There's checkpoints close to boss fights, from what I gathered. And there are several difficulty levels, including one that's straight up called like casual or beginner. You know, like so. I don't think that this game is going to hit the same Souls discussion that we've been going through the last couple of weeks because it does have several difficulty levels. Apparently, you can beat the game and unlock a hard difficulty though that's called Chaos Mode, and I love that. So love that shit.
Sorry, I just saw this line from Way Too Many Games review. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin might be as dumb as Limp Bizkit's lyrics, but damn if it isn't as fun as Wes Borland's riff. So
that's a pretty good line.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So yeah, for all the jokes, apparently the story's nonsensical and the characters are dumb, but the gameplay is good. So like that seems to be the general thing. Next up, we got a trailer for Forspoken, which was recently delayed till October. Again, I think this is the best trailer that we have had for Forspoken so far because it just showcased a lot more elements for that game. Like the first several times, we were just seeing a character sort of platforming around the world and being like, "What is this? Just an open space or whatever?" You know what I mean? Like, what are we actually doing here? Whereas this one shows fast-paced, like jumping around paired with the combat and these big action set pieces and spectacles and whatever else, and generally set the vibe for, I can't remember the character's name, but her like sort of accepting this her fate, I guess, in this world. Or hey,
Ella Balinski.
Is that the actress? Yeah, I don't remember the character. Yeah, I think this looked really cool. I think this is I was intrigued by this game because that first trial I was like, man, whatever. The second one where they introduced her, and talk a little bit more about the story and how she comes from Earth or whatever and just gets transported here and shit like that. I was like, cool, that sounds a lot more interesting. This trailer, I was like, fuck yeah, this looks pretty damn awesome. So yeah, what do you think of this trailer?
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. It's a game I'm excited for. Obviously, it got delayed like the week before this, so it's like,
yeah,
okay. But yeah, I think it looks cool, but I'm still interested to see what kind of genre it kind of fits, because it could fit like that open world kind of action, like almost like a Neo or Dark Souls-esque element, but with like more magical focus.
Nah, I don't reckon it is.
Not as hard, but like It seems like you're running towards random enemies in the middle of nowhere, or monsters or whatever. It seems to be like this massive open world that you can run around in this cool traversal style, but
yeah. I reckon it's an open world.
It's definitely, yeah.
Open world action RPG. I don't reckon the combat's particularly, like, I don't reckon it's particularly hard. I reckon it's just a typical open world action RPG. I think it would be very weird for Square to suddenly pivot to doing, like, let's not forget, you could be like, oh, Stranger of Paradise, Dylan. That's made by Team Ninja. That wasn't
the Neo team, yeah.
Yeah, it's made by the Neo, so that's a bit different. I think this is just going to be a typical action RPG. Heavy story, heavy Square Enix based story and stuff like that. So that's what I would say. Then we got Gundam Evolution. This is a weird one, but if you like Gundams, this is a free to play a game that has like 3 modes. It's like, I can't remember what they are, Conquest and bunch capture the flag or some shit. I don't.
It's Halo with a bunch of Gundam skins.
it's Halo.
Is what everybody's been saying. Yeah.
It literally is though. So like, and I mean, if it plays all right and you like Gundams, I know, Gundams is massive still. Has been for years for people who care. Then I'm sure this game's like exciting to a bunch of people. But yeah, it literally just looks like Halo, but Gundams with some sort of different guns and stuff.
It's going to be free to play, so I mean that's going to be a plus for a lot of people and an easy way to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, when it drops, I'm probably download it and give it a go, I guess. This is free to play. I mean, it's the worst that could happen. Then we got a quick announcement of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection. Includes 13 games from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gaming history. So if you want to play any of those classics, you can grab this collection ahead of the new game, I guess, coming out later this year. Another, so play 13 beat 'em ups to play a 14th beat 'em up. I don't think it has every game that they've ever released, but majority of them.
Seems like it's got most.
Most of them, yeah. And then we got Giga Bash, which is a kaiju brawler, is what it looks like. But
looks like a Rampage spiritual successor.
Yeah. So it's literally, I guess there might be teams. I can't remember, to be honest. But it's like you're just beating each other up in big, well, not huge maps, but worlds, just smashing it out. I don't know. It looks like fun if I was 12. It's not really something I would get excited about, to be honest. Then we had a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R announced. It's apparently a remake of the last JoJo fighting game. Obviously, none of us are either of us are into JoJo fighting games. I don't think. Have you even watched the anime?
No.
So, yeah, I've watched a little bit of the anime, but yeah, the fighting game ain't gonna do nothing for me. It features over 50 playable characters though, so if you're a fan of that fighting franchise, which get excited. Then we got the Track to Yomi most recent trailer dropped. Of course, Genesis was talking about before. They did point out in the trailer it's a mix of gameplay and cinematics. I'm not sure, it's hard to tell which is actual gameplay, which not. But the thing that's still like hard to tell, like as good as it, it still looks beautiful. Black and white, awesome. Kurosawa inspired. That's a selling point for this, obviously. Typical, it's typical, but I mean, it's playing straight into the, revenge story, samurai revenge story sort of thing. Really cool. Stunning. Still neat. It's hard to tell. Like you gotta get hands on to find out like what is the difficulty of this, Does that scare you at all?
A little bit. But it just looks like such a perfect package that it's like, I guess I'm going to have to struggle along. Is it going to be Samurai Sifu is what everybody's saying.
Because for ages we'll talk about Sifu and I kept saying, this is going to be hard, and you were like, I don't care. And then what happened? You're like, yeah. So, I don't know. It's hard to tell, obviously, but there's a lot more happening in this trailer than just combat. There's a lot of mythical sort of stuff happening. I don't know, like he's running along.
Yeah, it seems like dream state, possibly kind of things. It looks visually beautiful. It sounds incredible. That score is like really cool. And then they've got like proper Japanese actors
at the cast
involved,
at the end,
voice acting. Yeah.
That was really cool to see, yeah. So very excited. We still haven't got a solid release date, but still this year. So sometime this year.
Yep.
Returnal then showed up, which was weird to see when it happened, but of all things. But so that
it's like 12 months now, right? Since release?
I guess so, yeah, it would be. Yeah, it came around this time last year or February or something. They're adding a co-op mode, so you can play the campaign in co-op now, which is interesting because I'm like, does it double the amount of enemies or make it easier? Like, what's the actual, how's that work out? Yeah.
I would say it's probably B.
B just makes it easier?
It makes it easier.
Yeah, I don't know. They could be like, if you're playing co-op, we double the amount of, I don't know, or make it harder. Enemies have more health to negate it. But, I mean, if they just made it easier, then it's like, cool. For the people who want an easier mode, grab a friend.
Team up.
Yeah. And then the other announcement was
or it could make it harder because, you run into each other and then the pattern's all over the place.
Right. Too many bullets flying around.
You have to record too many bullets and then a random person running around in your way.
I mean, if you want to troll your friend again, their way constantly, I guess. Then they're adding this tower survival mode. So, like, I presume maybe there's an end goal to this. It just says I don't know if there actually will be because it's pitched as a survival mode, and survival modes usually don't have an end goal. So, but it seems to have some
like a leaderboard or something,
possibly. But it does seem to have some new story stuff for Celine in this mode, like some different cutscenes and flashbacks or whatever that integrated into this. So that's interesting. But yeah, it'll be a start floor 1. Couple easy enemies. By the time you're up to floor 10, here's a boss fight. Floor 11, shit's harder. Like that's what the mode will be. So for the people who just love the combat and just want to push themselves and go through that and see how hard and test their skills, then that'll be that. It's out on March 22nd. The update 3.0 Ascension is the name. And then
crazy. That's like a free DLC.
Yeah, I mean,
free update.
There seems to be a lot of this stuff lately. I mean, even Nintendo Direct the other week where they added the Pokemon Legends Arceus thing, and they're like, "Hey, the update called whatever the name is, and it's free, and here's content." Like, I don't know if this is just the thing that, I mean, even the Metroid, like a few games lately. Maybe I'm just only realizing it now, but all the updates have names. I mean, No Man's Sky, I guess, was doing it a couple of years back. It's like update whatever, it's free. But it's got a name. It's a major update, so don't know. Then we got the announcement of the Diofield Chronicle, which is it literally just looks like the game Square Enix just released on Nintendo Switch called Triangle Strategy, but prettier. Like I don't know how you could watch this.
And more XCOM-like.
Yeah, I don't know how you could watch this and just not think of that. It's so weird that this trailer dropped like a week after sort of thing. It's like, hey, we just dropped this game, this strategy game, set in a very similar looking world and time and everything. Here's another one. It's coming to PlayStation, slightly prettier, slightly different combat, but looks very similar. So, yeah, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think it looks good. Like, Switch isn't my home, so like to have a game that's not going to be on the Switch of that style, like, appeals to me. I didn't necessarily think Triangle Strategy. I thought more Fire Emblem just because of the way they set up the world of like, there's these three
factions,
countries that are all kind of at war at the same time. So, but obviously without the social element of the last game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where my mind went. I think it looks interesting. I'm keen to hear more and then potentially play it down the line.
Cool. Yeah, I'm like, maybe. I feel like it's just too many strategy games in that same sort of looking period at the moment for me, where I'm struggling to get interested. Even like you're saying Fire Emblem, which has had Triangle Strategy, like they're all like set in the same time period. I'm like, come on, switch shit up, give me some slightly different shit. And then the last thing was Valkyrie Elysium, which is the latest game in the Valkyrie series, the last of which was released on the PS2. Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. There was a mobile one, I think, after that.
2006.
There you go. So it's been a while since a game.
The first game came out $19.99.
I played the PS1 one when I was a kid for maybe a couple hours, and I can barely remember any of it other than we had it. Obviously did nothing for me because I don't have any attachment, never played any of the other ones. So it was just like I think when I was a kid, because I just loved all the Final Fantasy games, it's like if it had Square Enix on the box or Squaresoft, I needed to know about it. So, but yeah, it's an action RPG. It has a cool art style. Lots of effects happening on screen and stuff. It's based on what do you call it? Like Thor and that sort of
Norse mythology.
Norse mythology. This game in the press releases and stuff, they talk about Ragnarok. So, if it's ever a time to,
Norse mythology is so
in right now,
popular right now that why not?
Yeah. So they're just jumping in on the craze, and they're like, nah, let's bring that franchise back and continue it, and let's do Ragnarok and in that, let's go for it. But yeah, what do you make of this?
Yeah. I had no knowledge of this series at all, so it's one of those weird ones that did nothing for me. It's like whenever they show Xenoblade at the end of a Nintendo Direct, it's like, okay, this is a bunch of random stuff that's happening on screen.
Yeah.
With a bunch of random characters.
No, that's fair. What did you actually think of the gameplay, though?
Looked like a Square Enix JRPG.
Yeah. That's fair. And that was it. That's it for the state of play, so that's what they finished on.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, people get disappointed it ended on that, but I mean, yeah, it's just Square Enix. Could be a big game. For all you know, when that game comes out and it scores like 10s and people are like, man, maybe we should have been more excited when they announced it. I don't know. But
hopefully it's a pleasant surprise.
Hopefully. Only one other game or one other thing two other things to talk about quickly is, so Sly Cooper update. I think we talked about a rumor and stuff last week. A new Sly Cooper is reportedly in the works, according to reports, but it's not being developed by Sucker Punch, writes DualShokcers. After being amidst rumors for weeks now, the next state of play is blah, 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 skip all that. When it comes to state of play, blah, 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 where was it? It's been amidst rumors for now that Sony is working on a new infamous Sly Cooper game. While fans are eagerly awaiting for more information about the same, we've got some interesting details today. According to Nick from Xbox Era Podcast, Pixel Opus is working on the new Sly Cooper game instead of Sucker Punch. It was previously suggested that by other leakers that Sucker Punch will not be working on Sly Cooper, and this information further corroborates what was mentioned earlier today of other sources. Why exactly Pixel Opus is working on a Sly Cooper game is not known. It might be that Sucker Punch is diverting all its resources to working on the next Infamous game. On top of that, recent job listings have suggested that Sucker Punch is working on a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima as well, so it could be something to keep in mind as well. What was that thing? Remember we talked about Pixel Opus and they were doing a animated thing or whatever?
Yeah, so back in 2020, June last year, it was reported that Pixel Opus was partnering with Sony Pictures Animation, or collaborating with Sony Pictures Animation on developing a PS5 game.
Yeah. So
they didn't say it was a new IP from what I could see anywhere. So we could be getting a Sly Cooper. If they're working on a game based on Sly Cooper, we could be also getting a Sony Animation project involving Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
We could be seeing finally a Sly Cooper renaissance, because Sly Cooper has been long development as a TV series from memory. There have been
they dropped a trailer once.
Character models or whatever we saw at one point.
It was a full-on trailer. It was a proof of concept of Sly running across a rooftop and everything. It was, I don't know, I think it was just a proof of concept thing. But they were trying to do a movie, and then I think the movie switched to a TV show, and then all of that just slowly fizzled out like these things do. But I don't know when that was ages ago when that thing happened. I wonder if I can find it real quickly. Sly Cooper trailer movie. Yeah, here we go. When was this published? 2014. This was posted. Yep. Bring this up. I'm watching the video version, I guess. It says Rainmaker Blockmade Entertainment. Starts, got Sly running across a bunch of rooftops here. Got the van down below chasing after him. Get see Bentley inside. I'll show Mallory in a second, I guess, in the back. Yep, there he is. Yeah, I remember watching this and being like super excited, and then nothing came of it. So, and this looked cool. Like the animation looked solid. Did you find this?
No, but I'm looking up the Wikipedia. It's a long thing. Apparently, the production on the Sly Cooper film leaked in 2012. With the project officially announced 2014. Obviously, nothing really came of that, and then 2017 they kind of pivoted towards a TV series that was said to be 52 11-minute episodes scheduled for 2019, and then that kind of changed when Sony announced PlayStation Productions. So
that's fair.
Maybe.
I think it all adds up though. Like because as soon as I saw this story about them doing a like Pixel Opus potentially working on Sly Cooper, and then thinking back to that story about them doing the animation thing, like, oh, they're working on a Sony animation tie-in or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, that could make perfect sense if they're doing the game and they're doing a movie at the same time, and they're making sure that the animation is the same style, or TV series or whatever, and they're making sure the animation is the same, and maybe it's not like a typical movie tie-in, but maybe it's focuses on similar elements to help promote one another. Maybe they're trying to do the Ratchet and Clank remake thing, tie in with the movie, but actually do it better this time, where people just
make the game like the first episode.
Well, maybe just release the game episodically. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game tells one story, and then the TV show tells a story from another perspective.
Could be. I don't know. But yeah, I'd of course be excited. Obviously, Pixel Opus, I love their last game. Concrete Genie, beautiful work. So if they're doing Sly Cooper, I'm down. I mean, Sly Cooper would be a bit more faster paced than Concrete Genie, but Concrete Genie, slight spoilers, that does get a little bit more action packed when you get some powers and stuff in the second half of that. So whereas the first half's just a bit more walking around, puzzle solving. So yeah, I'm keen. And then finally,
cool
rumor, it's the truth. It's happening.
Hopefully,
it's happening. PlayStation, you can finally access your PlayStation captures on the PlayStation 5 on your PS app. So
yes,
all you have to do is, and here's my tips for this, because I was kind of annoyed the other day. But so you open your PlayStation 5, go to your captures. When it'll pop up and say, do you want to enable automatic sharing to your PlayStation app or whatever it says? Click OK. You're good to go. However, it won't sync everything you've currently got. It'll only start syncing newly taken
stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Newly taken screenshots after that moment, and it'll only sync videos that are 3 minutes and under. Anything over 3 minutes, they won't sync to that server.
I think you can also enable it from the app, not just the PlayStation.
Okay, right.
If you go,
I think you have
to go to
just so you have to go to what's like
your game library,
and up the top it says captures.
Yes.
Yeah. But it works once you've got it all set up. It works really well. Like some captures, I took a couple screenshots last night when I was playing something, and then when I got to bed, I quickly opened the app to see if they were already in there. They were. The video was already there. You can save them to your phone. Then you'll be able to tweet about them and all. Like everything was talking about and how good this feature is going to be.
Everything we want
is finally here. I mean, you don't need to give Sony the biggest claps in the world because Xbox has had this already.
Yeah.
But this is, it's good to see, obviously, on PlayStation as well, and it's a super handy service. Again, the captures will only last 14 days.
14 days.
And then they'll cycle through. The older ones, everything past 14 days will just get deleted off the server. I don't know if there's a way to I don't believe there's a way to force them back onto that server other than just like taking a screenshot of your screenshot, I guess, like to get around that. But yeah, you'll have 14 days. You got 2 weeks when you captured something for it to be on there if you want to randomly share it on social media or download it to your phone or what have you. But yeah, cool feature to see. Did you enable it all? You got it all working?
Yeah. I have not done any screenshots since I enabled it, but it's enabled.
Very good. Very good. All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Let us know any comments, questions, concerns you've had. If you join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, tweet at us, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter, take you to all their Twitters. If you like the episode, thirds worth $1, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support to drop as little as $1 to help keep the show and the website going. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts.